They say power announces itself before it enters a room. But real power? It doesn't raise its voice. It doesn't rush. It waits. On the night Luca DeSantis walked into the Black Crown Lounge, every man in Manhattan's underworld knew something was about to break. He didn't notice the woman serving his drink. Didn't see her steady hands. Didn't hear the way the room quieted when she moved. He spoke carelessly, cruelly, in a language he believed no one else understood. And then, the waitress looked him in the eyes and answered him in his dead father's tongue. The entire room froze. Because in that moment, Luca DeSantis realized something terrifying. The woman he had just humiliated knew exactly who he was. And from that moment on, nothing, not his empire, not his enemies, not even his own heart, would ever be safe again. New York at night didn't sleep. Hunted. The rain came down in thin sheets, turning the streets of Lower Manhattan into mirrors of neon and shadow. Black SUVs lined the curb outside the Black Crown Lounge. No license plates, windows tinted so dark they swallowed light. Inside, power sat comfortably. The Black Crown wasn't a nightclub. It was a meeting ground. Politicians came here pretending to be anonymous. Bankers came here pretending to be bored. Men with blood on their hands came here pretending they were untouchable. And everyone knew one rule. When the DeSantis family arrived, you didn't speak unless spoken to. Alessia Moore had learned that rule on her first night. She'd been working at the Black Crown for 8 months. Long enough to know where not to look. Long enough to hear names whispered like curses. Long enough to survive. She wore the standard uniform. Black blouse, fitted slacks, hair pulled into a low knot. No jewelry. No makeup beyond what was required. Invisible. That was the goal. At 27, Alessia had perfected invisibility the way other people perfected charm. She moved through the lounge with a tray of crystal glasses, her steps quiet, her posture composed. She noticed everything. The way men leaned in when deals were being made. The way laughter cut off when certain people entered. The way fear smelled different from money. Tonight that smell was sharp. The doors opened. Conversations died. Even the music softened as if the speakers themselves understood what was happening. Luca DeSantis had arrived. He didn't rush. He never did. Broad-shouldered. Dressed in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than Alessia's yearly rent. His black hair was slicked back, his jaw clean-shaven, his expression carved from stone. A faint scar cut through his right eyebrow. Men stepped aside instinctively. Luca was 33. The youngest Don in Manhattan's history. The man who'd inherited a criminal empire soaked in violence and turned it into something colder. Cleaner. Deadlier. They said he was worse than his father. Because Luca didn't enjoy cruelty. He simply accepted it as necessary. Alessia felt him before she saw him. The air changed. Her chest tightened, a familiar warning crawling up her spine. Danger. She lowered her gaze and continued toward table 7. The corner booth. The DeSantis booth. Her manager appeared beside her, pale and sweating. Table 7. Now, he whispered. And don't say a word unless he speaks to you. Of course. She approached. Crystal glasses clinked softly as she placed them down. Expensive whiskey. Imported. Untouched. Luca DeSantis sat back, speaking to the men beside him, not in English. Italian. Sicilian to be precise. Bucking. He didn't look at her. Didn't need to. She moves like she's afraid to exist, Luca said casually, swirling his drink. His men chuckled. Probably is, another replied. Girls like that always are. Luca smirked. Good. Fear makes people obedient. Alessia's fingers tightened around the tray. She'd heard worse. Much worse. But then, Luca leaned forward slightly, his voice dropping. Another thing, he added in Italian, careless and cruel. Why do they let women like this serve here? She doesn't belong in a place built for men with power. One of his men laughed. Relax, boss. She won't understand. That was the mistake. Alessia set the tray down slowly, lifted her head, and looked him directly in the eyes. A violation. The room seemed to inhale. In perfect Sicilian Italian, Rich, precise, carrying the accent of old Palermo, she said calmly. Power doesn't announce itself, signore. It watches who mistakes silence for weakness. The effect was immediate. Luca froze. His glass slipped from his fingers, crashing onto the table and spilling whiskey across white linen like blood. Every sound in the lounge vanished. Luca stared at her. Really looked at her. Her dark eyes were steady. Unafraid. Not a waitress. Not prey. Say that again, he said quietly. Alessia didn't raise her voice. I said, she repeated, still in Sicilian. Only insecure men confuse cruelty with strength. One of Luca's men reached for his weapon. Luca lifted a single finger. The man stopped. Luca stood slowly, towering over her. For a moment Alessia thought this was how she would die. Right here. Because she'd broken the most important rule. But Luca didn't touch her. He smiled. And it was the most dangerous thing she'd ever seen. What's your name? He asked. Alessia. Last name? Moore. Luca leaned closer, his voice low enough only she could hear. You just made yourself unforgettable. He pulled a thick roll of cash from his pocket, dropped it onto the table without looking. Then he walked away. As he reached the door he paused. Turned back once. And their eyes met across the room. In that moment Alessia knew something with absolute certainty. She had not won. She had been noticed. And men like Luca de Santis didn't forget. Luca de Santis did not sleep. Sleep was for men whose consciences still whispered. His had gone silent years ago. The floor-to-ceiling windows of his Tribeca penthouse revealed Manhattan stretched out beneath him like a living map. Bridges glowing, traffic crawling, lights pulsing like a heartbeat. And yet all he could see was her, Alessia Moore. The waitress who spoke Sicilian Italian like she'd been raised on his father's street. The woman who looked him in the eye and didn't flinch. He replayed the moment again and again. Her voice. Calm. Controlled. Not rehearsed. Not learned. Behind him a man cleared his throat. Boss. Luca didn't turn. Report, he said. Matteo Russo, head of intelligence, former military, the kind of man who noticed everything, stepped closer, tablet in hand. Alessia Moore. 27. Born in Newark, New Jersey. Mother deceased. No siblings listed. Employment history clean. No arrests. No debt. No social media beyond surface-level accounts. Luca finally turned. That's not possible. Matteo hesitated. There's a gap. What kind of gap? From age 11 to 14. No school records. No medical records. No residential history. Luca's jaw tightened. No one disappears for 3 years without a reason. Matteo nodded. There's more. He pulled up an audio clip. You'll want to hear this. The recording crackled. Then Alessia's voice filled the room. Speaking Italian. Not modern. Not polished. Old-world Sicilian. The kind Luca's father used when he was angry. The kind his grandfather spoke before America changed everything. Luca closed his eyes. His chest tightened. Where did you get this? He asked. One of our men at the Black Crown recorded the floor feed. We isolated her voice. She didn't learn that in a classroom, Luca said. No. Matteo studied him carefully. You want us to keep digging? Luca opened his eyes. Yes. How deep? All the way. Matteo nodded once. And boss? Yes. She's still working at the Black Crown. Luca turned back to the window. Good. Alessia felt it again. That sensation. Being watched. She moved through the lounge with controlled precision, her heartbeat steady despite the tension crawling beneath her skin. Since that night everything had changed. Men looked at her differently. Staff whispered. Her manager avoided her gaze. And Luca de Santis hadn't returned. That was worse. Because men like him didn't forget. They waited. She placed a glass down and turned. And stopped. Luca sat at the bar. Alone. No entourage. No bodyguards in sight. Just him. Watching her. Her pulse spiked. He lifted his glass slightly. A silent invitation. He should ignore him. Should pretend he wasn't there. But survival had taught her something important. Avoidance only delayed the inevitable. She approached. "What can I get you?" she asked calmly. "In English this time," he replied lightly. She met his gaze. "Whiskey." "Neat." He smiled faintly. "You remembered." He poured the drink. "Set it down." Turned to leave. "Stay," Luca said. The word was soft. Command disguised as request. Alessia paused. Then slowly turned back. "Yes. You didn't answer my question the other night." "I didn't hear one." "Where did you learn my language?" She held his gaze. "My father." Luca studied her face like he was memorizing it. "A man from Sicily?" he asked. "No." The answer surprised him. "Then how?" Alessia straightened. "He was stationed overseas when he was young. Lived there. Loved it. Refused to forget it." "Refused," Luca repeated thoughtfully. "Yes." Something flickered behind his eyes. Defiance recognized defiance. "You live alone?" he asked casually. Her shoulders tensed. "That's not your business." Luca smiled. "You're right." "Then just as easily. It won't be much longer." The words settled like a warning. "What won't?" she asked. He stood. Close enough now that she could smell expensive cologne and something darker beneath. "This," he said quietly. "You pretending I don't exist." He reached into his pocket, placed a card on the bar. But unmarked. Heavy. "Tomorrow. 8 p.m. Wear something warm." "I didn't agree to." "You will," he interrupted gently. "Because walking away from me doesn't make you safe." He stepped back. "Good night, Alessia Moore." And just like that, he was gone. The car arrived at 7:58 p.m. Black car. Silent. Waiting. Alessia stared at it from the sidewalk outside her apartment building. She could run. She could refuse. She could disappear again. But deep down she knew. He would find her. She stepped inside. The doors locked automatically. No driver visible. The city blurred past as the car moved. "Where are we going?" she asked. "To a place where no one listens," a voice replied from the front. Her stomach tightened. The elevator opened directly into the apartment. Luca stood by the window, hands in his pockets. No jacket. Just a black shirt, sleeves rolled to his forearms. Scars visible. He turned as she entered. "Welcome." "This isn't a conversation," she said immediately. "This is kidnapping." Luca nodded. "Yes." He stiffened. "I don't hurt people without reason," he continued. "And I don't bring women here unless they matter." "I don't matter to you." "That's where you're wrong." He approached. Fully. "You matter because you shouldn't exist," he said quietly. "And things that shouldn't exist either destroy you or change you." He stopped a few feet away. "Sit." "No." He studied her. Then smiled slightly. "I like that." He gestured toward the couch. "Please." She sat. Reluctantly. "What do you want?" she asked. "The truth." "About what?" "About your father," Luca said. "And why his language lives in your mouth like a weapon." Alessia's chest tightened. "That part of my life is buried." "Everything buried eventually comes up," Luca replied. "Especially when men like me start digging." Silence stretched. Finally, she spoke. "He taught me so I'd never forget who he was before the world tried to erase him." Luca's gaze sharpened. "Men don't erase themselves without enemies." Alessia looked away. "He wanted me strong," she said. "Unafraid." Luca moved closer. "And did he succeed?" She met his eyes. "Yes." For the first time, Luca DeSantis felt something shift inside him. Something dangerous. Respect. Obsession. The silence inside Luca DeSantis's penthouse was heavier than any threat. Alessia sat perfectly still on the edge of the leather couch, hands folded in her lap, every muscle alert. She had survived long enough to know when danger wasn't loud, when it moved quietly, patiently, waiting for the right moment to close in. Luca poured himself a drink. Didn't offer her one. "Yes." "You don't drink?" she asked calmly. I do, he replied. Just not when I'm deciding someone's fate. Her jaw tightened. Then decide, she said. Because I'm not your entertainment. Luca turned toward her slowly, glass in hand, dark eyes unreadable. You could have walked away, he said. You didn't. You made sure I couldn't. A faint smile tugged at his mouth. Still blaming me, he murmured. Good. It means you're honest. He moved closer, stopping just outside her personal space. I had Matteo run your father's name through European and military archives, Luca continued. Nothing official. Which means he wasn't just stationed overseas. He was embedded. Alessia's breath caught. That's impossible. No, Luca corrected. It's inconvenient. He leaned against the edge of the table, studying her reaction like a chess player reading the board. Your father wasn't just living in Sicily, he said quietly. He was working there. For who? She demanded. Luca held her gaze. For men like me. The words landed hard. Alessia stood abruptly. You're lying. Luca didn't move. I don't need to lie to scare you, he said. The truth does that just fine. He took a step back. He left that life, she said fiercely. Whatever he was, he walked away. Yes, Luca agreed. And men don't walk away without consequences. He swallowed. That's why you're here, he continued. Because when you spoke to me in Sicilian, when you carried his accent like it was carved into your bones, it triggered something. What? Recognition. My father spoke the same way, Luca said. So did the men who bled for him. Alessia's heart pounded. You think I'm connected to your enemies. I think you were protected from them, Luca replied. And that protection is gone. She laughed bitterly. You bring me here to tell me I'm in danger? No, Luca said softly. I brought you here because I'm the danger standing between you and everyone else. The words sent a shiver through her. Not fear. Something worse. Awareness. Let me go, she said. I can't. Won't, she corrected. Luca stepped closer. You're already being watched, he said. By people who think you're leverage. By men who would cut you open just to see if it hurts me. She held her ground. I didn't ask for this. Neither did I. Their proximity shifted the air between them. Electric. Unstable. Luca's hand came up slowly, giving her time to move away. He didn't. His fingers brushed her wrist. Heat shot up her arm. A single touch. Controlled. Deliberate. Your pulse just spiked, he murmured. Get your hand off me. Say it like you mean it. She met his gaze. I'm not afraid of you. Pause. Then Luca smiled, dangerous and dark. That, he said, is what terrifies me. He released her. Sit back. Breathing heavy. We need rules, he said abruptly. Rules. Yes, he replied. Because this, he gestured between them, is already out of control. She folded her arms. Then start by letting me leave. You leave, Luca said, and someone uses you against me within 48 hours. Silence. She hated that she believed him. What are your rules? She asked finally. No lies, he said. No secrets about your past. And you stay under my protection. That's not protection, she snapped. That's ownership. Luca's jaw clenched. Then don't make me want to own you. The words hit her like a blow. Too late, he added quietly. Matteo arrived just after midnight. His expression said everything. Boss, he said. We have a problem. Luca didn't look away from Alessia. Speak. Bevilacqua's people were asking about her tonight. Alessia stiffened. Who? Rival family, Luca said. Old blood. No rules. Matteo continued. They know she spoke Sicilian. They're assuming she's connected. Luca turned sharply. How close? Too close, Matteo said. One of their men followed her home yesterday. The room went cold. Luca's expression darkened into something lethal. They crossed a line. Alessia's voice cut in. You followed me? Luca met her gaze. Yes. She exhaled slowly. So I'm already a target. Yes. She nodded once. Then I'm not leaving, she said. Not yet. Luca's eyes flickered. Why? Because I refuse to be used, she replied. And if staying here keeps me alive long enough to figure out what my father was really involved in, then I'll stay. He studied her. Then nodded. Smart. She held his gaze. But don't mistake cooperation for surrender. Luca stepped closer again. I wouldn't dare. She couldn't sleep. Neither could he. At 2 in the morning, Alessia found Luca standing at the windows again. Manhattan stretched beneath him, a kingdom of light and shadow. Does it ever stop? She asked quietly. What? The violence. He took a long breath. No. She joined him at the window. Then why do you do it? He looked at her. Because someone will, he said. And I'd rather it be me than someone worse. She turned toward him. That's what my father used to say. Luca's expression softened just slightly. Then he was a dangerous man, he said. She smiled faintly. He was. They stood in silence. 2 damaged people. 2 lives colliding. Luca broke it first. You should sleep, he said. So should you. He shook his head. I don't sleep well. She hesitated. Neither do I. Something unspoken passed between them. Stay, he said quietly. She didn't ask where. Didn't need to. She moved closer. Not touching. Yet. Alessia woke to silence. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that felt deliberate. She lay still on the guest bed in Luca DeSantis's penthouse, every instinct screaming that something was wrong. The city beyond the curtains glowed faintly, early dawn bleeding into Manhattan. She sat up slowly. Then she heard it. A low murmur of voices. Urgent. Controlled. She slipped out of bed and padded toward the door. The penthouse living space was dim. Luca stood near the kitchen island with Matteo and 2 armed men she didn't recognize. The tension in the room was thick enough to taste. She shouldn't have been followed, Luca said quietly. Matteo's jaw tightened. They were testing the perimeter. Seeing how close they could get. How close did they get? Luca asked. Close enough to leave a message. One of the men slid something across the counter. A folded piece of paper. Alessia stepped closer before she could stop herself. Luca turned sharply. You shouldn't be here. Her eyes were already on the paper. It was a photograph of her, walking home from the Black Crown 2 nights earlier. A red circle marked her head. Below it, 3 words written in thick black ink. We see you. Her stomach dropped. So it started, she said. Luca's face hardened. Yes. From that moment on, nothing was negotiable. 2 men were assigned outside her door. Another followed her everywhere she went inside the penthouse. Alessia hated it. Stop treating me like I'm fragile, she snapped when Luca insisted she stay off the balcony. I'm not protecting your body, he replied evenly. I'm protecting your existence. She crossed her arms. You don't own me. Luca stepped closer. No, he said. But they think you're mine. And that makes you a weapon. She met his gaze. Then teach me how to survive this. Something shifted in his expression. You don't want that, he said. I didn't want any of this, she shot back. But here we are. A long pause. Then Luca nodded once. Fine. The training room was hidden behind a steel door Alessia hadn't noticed before. Weapons lined the walls. Guns. Knives. Tools she didn't recognize. Her breath caught. You're serious, she said. Luca picked up a compact pistol. I'm always serious. He cleared it. Handed it to her. She hesitated. I've never. I know, he said. Your father made sure of that. Her fingers closed around the grip. It felt heavier than she expected. Rule number 1, Luca said calmly. Never hesitate when your life is on the line. He moved behind her, adjusting her stance, hands firm but careful, heat radiating through her back. Feet apart, he murmured. Breathe. His voice was low. Steady. Too intimate. He swallowed. This doesn't make you safe, he continued. It makes you dangerous. He pulled the trigger. The recoil surprised her. Her shot missed the target entirely. She cursed under her breath. Luca's hand tightened over hers. Again. The second shot hit the edge. The third landed center. Her heart raced. She lowered the gun. "That's enough," she said. Luca studied her. "You didn't flinch." "I wanted to," she admitted. "But you didn't." Their eyes locked. Something dark and electric passed between them. It happened that night. A power outage swept through the building. Lights cut. Alarms triggered. Gunfire echoed. Luca moved instantly, pulling Alessia against his chest, body shielding hers. "Stay behind me," he ordered. The door exploded inward. Two men rushed in. Luca fired without hesitation. Blood splattered the wall. Alessia screamed but didn't freeze. A third man lunged. He moved. Picked up the fallen gun. Fired. The man dropped. Silence fell. Luca turned slowly. Looked at her. Gun still raised. Breathing hard. "You said you'd never used a gun." "I lied," she said quietly. His eyes darkened. Not with anger. With something far more dangerous. Understanding. Bodies were removed. The penthouse cleaned. As if nothing had happened. Alessia stood in the bathroom, hands shaking as she scrubbed blood from her skin. Luca appeared behind her. "You did what you had to," he said. She laughed softly. "That's what they all say." He reached out, hesitated, then placed his hands on her shoulders. "You saved your own life," he said. "And maybe mine." She turned. Their faces were inches apart. The air between them crackled. "This changes everything," she whispered. "Yes," Luca replied. "It does." He leaned in. Stopped just short of her lips. "Tell me to stop." He didn't. His mouth captured hers. Slow at first, then desperate. Controlled violence melting into hunger. Her hands fisted in his shirt. The kiss tasted like danger. Like blood and truth, and something neither of them could afford. When they finally pulled apart, they were both breathing hard. "This can't happen again," she said. Luca rested his forehead against hers. "It will," he said softly. "Because now you're in my world, and I don't know how to let you go." Luca didn't sleep after the attack. He stood in his office while dawn bled through the skyline, Matteo's tablet glowing on the desk between them. "We confirmed it," Matteo said quietly. "There's no doubt anymore." Luca's jaw clenched. "Say it." Matteo tapped the screen. A name appeared. Salvatore Moretti. Alessia's father. "He wasn't just embedded," Matteo continued. "He was trusted. A fixer. Translator. Negotiator. He handled disputes between families when blood threatened to spill too early." Luca closed his eyes. "Moretti." The name twisted something deep in his chest. "My father used him," Luca said. "Relied on him." "Yes," Matteo replied. "And then betrayed him." The room went still. "What kind of betrayal?" "They offered Salvatore up to keep a truce," Matteo said. "But Salvatore disappeared before it could happen." Luca opened his eyes. "And Alessia?" "She was hidden," Matteo said. "New name. New life. Someone paid a lot of money to make her disappear." Luca's hands curled into fists. "So when Bevalacqua's people recognized the accent," he murmured. "They started hunting," Matteo finished. Luca nodded once. "Prepare the retaliation." Matteo hesitated. "Boss, this won't stay contained." "I know." Alessia listened without interrupting. The story poured out in fragments. Names, bloodlines, old loyalties, betrayals she never knew existed. When Luca finished, silence filled the room. "My father was killed because of you," she said finally. Luca didn't deny it. "Yes." Her chest tightened. "And you brought me into this knowing that." "I brought you here to keep you alive," he said quietly. She laughed bitterly. "By turning me into a target." "You already were one," Luca replied. "I just stopped pretending otherwise." She stood. "So what now?" she asked. "You kill them all and call it justice?" "Yes." The simplicity of the answer shocked her. "That won't bring him back." "No," Luca agreed. But it will make sure no one else loses a daughter the way he did. Her eyes burned. You don't get to decide that for me. He stepped closer. I already did. Matteo interrupted them mid-argument. Bevilacqua is moving tonight, he said. They're calling in favors. This is turning into a war. Alessia turned toward Luca. You choose me, she said. Or you choose your empire. Luca stared at her. Don't do this. Do it, she insisted. Because I won't stay if I'm just another liability you manage. The room went deadly quiet. Luca turned to Matteo. Cancel the alliance with Romano. Matteo's eyes widened. That deal stabilizes half the city. I know. You'll lose territory. I know. Matteo nodded slowly. I'll handle it. When he left, Alessia stared at Luca. You just set fire to your own kingdom. For you, Luca said. Her breath caught. Don't, she whispered. Don't make me the reason. You already are. That night Manhattan burned quietly. Warehouses went up in flames. Accounts were emptied. Men disappeared. Luca watched it all unfold from his penthouse, Alessia standing beside him. This isn't justice, she said softly. No, Luca replied. It's survival. He turned to him. And after? Luca didn't answer. By morning the Bevilacqua family was crippled. But war always demanded payment. Matteo returned, blood on his sleeve. We lost 3 men, he said. One was barely 20. Alessia's stomach twisted. This is what loving you costs, she said. Luca met her gaze. I never promised you peace. She nodded. I know. She stepped closer. But I need honesty. He waited. If staying with you means I become like you, she said carefully, I won't survive that. Luca reached out, stopped himself. I don't want to turn you into me, he said. I want to become someone who deserves you. Tears welled in her eyes. That might be the most dangerous thing you've said. He gave a small, humorless smile. Story of my life. She leaned into him. For once he didn't pull away. The warning came too late. Matteo stood in the doorway of Luca's office, face pale, eyes sharp with urgency. They're not finished, he said. Bevilacqua may be bleeding, but his allies aren't. Luca didn't look away from the city outside his window. Names, he said. Marconi, Matteo replied. And Russo. Luca's jaw tightened. Old families. Old grudges. They're uniting, Matteo continued. And they're making one thing clear. Luca turned slowly. They want Alessia. The room went still. No, Luca said flatly. They see her as leverage, Matteo explained. A symbol. The daughter of Salvatore Moretti choosing DeSantis. Luca exhaled sharply. She never chose this. They don't care. Alessia heard everything. She stood in the hallway, unseen, heart pounding as the truth settled heavy in her chest. She didn't wait for Luca to tell her. She walked into the office. You need to send me away, she said. Luca spun around. No. Luca, she said gently. Look at what's happening. I will not lose you. She stepped closer. You will if you keep me. The words cut deep. This war will never end while I'm here, she continued. Not for you. Not for them. Luca shook his head. I can protect you. You can't protect the world from itself, she replied. Silence stretched between them. Luca slammed his fist into the desk. You think this is easy for me? He snapped. Every day I choose between the woman I love and the empire I inherited. Her breath caught. You love me, she whispered. The admission hung in the air. Yes, he said quietly. And it's killing me. Tears filled her eyes. Then let me go, she said. They said goodbye without witnesses. No guards. No words left unspoken. Luca pressed his forehead to hers. If you leave, he said, voice rough, you don't look back. I never do, she replied. He handed her a passport. New name. New country. Go somewhere quiet, he said. Somewhere safe. She nodded. And you? She asked. I'll end this, he said. She kissed him once, Slow, aching, final. Then she walked away. Luca watched until the door closed. And then he broke everything within reach. Without Alessia, Luca became ruthless. Deals were burned. Enemies eliminated. But something else happened. The city pushed back. An ambush on the bridge cost him 3 more men. A shipment vanished. A trusted lieutenant betrayed him. Matteo was shot. Luca arrived at the hospital covered in blood. None of it his. They're dismantling you, Matteo said weakly. Not yet, Luca replied. But the truth was undeniable. He was losing control. Alessia watched the news from a small apartment overlooking the sea. Different continent. Different name. Same ache. She tried to forget. She failed. Every headline felt like a knife. She knew what Luca was doing. Burning himself alive to keep her safe. Her phone rang one night. Unknown number. She answered. Alessia, Matteo's voice said. Her heart stopped. He's in trouble, he continued. And this time, it's bad. She stared at the ocean long after the call ended. She could stay safe. Or she could return to the storm. She packed one bag. Bought a ticket. And went back to the city that would either claim her. Or finally set them both free. New York didn't welcome her back. It watched. Alessia stepped out of the cab beneath a sky heavy with clouds. The city humming with its usual indifference. Same streets. Same shadows. Different woman. She hadn't come back to be saved. She'd come back to finish something her father never could. The phone in her pocket vibrated once. A message. Leo, penthouse. Midnight. Don't be seen. She pulled her coat tighter and disappeared into the crowd. Luca DeSantis was losing. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Quietly. The penthouse felt emptier without her. Too clean, too sharp, like a place meant for a man who no longer existed. He stared at the city he once controlled and felt nothing but exhaustion. Matteo was alive, but barely. Territory was shrinking. Allies were silent. And tonight was the end. They're coming, Matteo said from the couch, arm in a sling. Marconi and Russo. They think you're cornered. Luca nodded. I am. They're expecting blood. They'll get it. A sound behind him made Luca turn. And stop breathing. Alessia stood in the doorway. Alive. Furious. For a second the Don of Manhattan forgot how to speak. You weren't supposed to come back, he said hoarsely. She stepped closer. You don't get to decide that anymore. This ends tonight, Luca said. You leave before it starts. No, Alessia replied. I end it with you. You don't understand. I understand everything, she cut in. I understand my father died because men like you treated loyalty like currency. I understand you're willing to die to keep me safe. She stepped closer. But I won't live if you do. Silence filled the room. Luca closed his eyes. You are my weakness, he said. She shook her head. No, she said softly. I'm your way out. The meeting took place in an abandoned warehouse by the river. Rust. Concrete. Shadows thick with gunmetal tension. Marconi arrived first. Then Rizzo. Then Luca with Alessia beside him. Weapons were drawn immediately. Bold move, Marconi sneered. Bringing the girl. Alessia met his gaze. I'm not the girl, she said calmly. I'm the reason this ends. Russo laughed. You think you have power here? She reached into her coat and tossed a flash drive onto the table. My father kept records, she said. Names. Payments. Deals. Evidence that ties every one of you to crimes your own families would kill you for. The laughter stopped. Luca turned sharply. You had this. I always did, she replied. I just needed the courage to use it. Marconi's face darkened. You'd burn the entire underworld? Yes, she said. And you know I will. A gunshot rang out. Chaos erupted. Luca moved instantly, pulling Alessia down, firing back. The warehouse exploded with violence. Men fell. Blood hit concrete. And then, silence. Marconi lay dead. Russo crawled away bleeding. Luca stood over him. It's over, Luca said coldly. Russo looked at Alessia. This world will never let you go, he hissed. She stepped forward. Then we'll leave it behind. Luca fired. By morning the city knew. The war was finished. Luca DeSantis disappeared. So did Alessia Moore. The empire fractured. Leaders exposed. Alliances broken by the very evidence Alessia released anonymously. The underworld blamed Luca. But Luca didn't care. For the first time in his life, he was free. The house overlooked the sea. No guards. No guns. No shadows waiting to strike. Luca stood barefoot on the porch as Alessia joined him. You gave up everything, she said quietly. He took her hand. I kept what mattered. She leaned into him. And if they come looking? He kissed her forehead. They won't, he said. Kings who walk away are more dangerous as legends. She smiled. So what are we now? He met her gaze. Two survivors, he said. Finally choosing peace. At night the ocean whispered instead of gunfire. Alessia rested her head on Luca's chest. Do you regret it? She asked. He smiled faintly. Only that I didn't do it sooner. You stayed until the end. Thank you. Stories like this live and die by listeners like you. If you want more dark mafia romances, forbidden love, and powerful stories where love challenges power, like this video, subscribe to Noir Crown Stories. And turn on notifications so you never miss the next tale. Because the next story might be even darker.